Welcome to This Explainer. If you are a parent right now trying to navigate the wild world of raising a teenager, you know exactly how tough it can be. The daily eye rolls, the one-word answers, the incredibly messy bedrooms, it's a lot, right? We all want our kids to grow up confident, resilient, and ready to take on the world. But the big question is, how do we actually make that happen? Well, today we are unpacking a powerful blueprint for teen transformation called the Future Leaders Intensive. We're going to dive into their orientation materials and see exactly how they tackle this. Let's get right into it.
So I want you to really think about this for a second. What is literally the greatest gift we can help young people develop before they leave the nest? Is it straight A's? Is it athletic prowess? Look, those are fantastic, obviously. But the creators of this intensive argue that it's something much, much deeper. They realized a long time ago that their ultimate mission wasn't just creating good students or star athletes. Their mission was helping young people become the most capable versions of themselves. And they concluded that true, authentic leadership is absolutely the greatest gift we can ever give them.
But okay, before we talk about leadership, we got to talk about reality. Because the modern teen reality is, well, it's pretty harsh. Think about the battles kids are fighting every single day. They are dealing with this paralyzing fear of failure. They are completely drowning in screen time. And the anxiety, it is through the roof right now. Plus, you throw on a real struggle to communicate face-to-face, and this almost instinctual habit of avoiding responsibility, it is a massive amount of social pressure. So if you are seeing these traits under your own roof, take a breath. You are definitely not alone. It's just the reality of the environment they're growing up in.
And this brings up a huge gap in how we actually raise kids today. Think about it. We know exactly where to send them for academics, right? We send them to school. We know where to send them to build physical skills and learn how to play on a field. We put them in sports. But where do they go to intentionally learn leadership? There are very few places that actively, deliberately teach those specific life skills. The Future Leaders Intensive was built specifically to fill that exact void in a young person's development.
Now, when we say leadership, what do we actually mean? There's a really striking point in the source material. Leadership is not simply learning to give orders. We usually have this image of a corporate CEO in our heads, some boss standing at the head of a boardroom barking orders. But for a teenager who is just stepping into young adulthood, that definition is completely broken, because leadership isn't just a title somebody hands you.
Instead, this program completely redefines it. True leadership is about everyday actions. It's simply about positively influencing the people around you. It's taking the initiative to empty the dishwasher without being asked 10 times. It's solving problems instead of just complaining that things are unfair. It's communicating clearly with a teacher, owning up to a mistake, becoming genuinely trustworthy to your friends and family, and ultimately, serving others. Just imagine how crucial these traits are when they're, say, doing a university group project or walking into their very first job.
Which leads to this incredibly empowering realization. Leadership is not a talent. It is a developable habit. Let me say that again. Nobody is just a born leader or a born follower. No teenager is magically born knowing how to perfectly manage their frustration or speak up confidently in a crowded room. Those are habits. And because they're habits, they can absolutely be practiced, learned, and built up over time through repetition.
So if leadership is a habit we have to practice, where do we actually go to practice it? Well, the intensive uses a setting you might not expect at all, a martial arts center. Now you're probably thinking, wait, why martial arts? What on earth does tying a belt around your waist have to do with communicating effectively or planning a project? It sounds a little crazy, right? It's so easy to hear martial arts and instantly picture sparring, fighting, physical combat, the whole shebang. But the reality of this program is totally different. The martial arts training isn't the main objective. It's the teaching environment. It's basically a pressure-tested classroom. It creates these safe but physically challenging situations where students are literally forced to manage their frustration. They have to listen carefully to instructions, they have to take critical feedback without getting defensive, and they have to try again when they inevitably fail. It's all about learning to lead by example when the pressure's on.
So how does the program actually run? It takes place over 3 afternoons for a total of 9 focused hours. But here is the absolute best part. Literally 0 classroom lectures. 0. The foundational philosophy here is pretty simple. You cannot teach a teenager leadership by making them sit at a desk while an adult talks at them for hours. It just doesn't work. Instead, the whole thing is highly interactive. We're talking leadership games, decision-making simulations, and physical team challenges. Real, hands-on stuff.
Instead of boring lectures, students are constantly pushed through a very specific 5-step learning cycle. Step 1, they get the knowledge of a new concept. Step 2, they practice it immediately, like right then and there in a physical or mental scenario.
Step 3, and honestly, this is where the real magic happens, they pause for reflection. They figure out what worked and what totally fell apart. Step 4, they make a conscious adjustment. And that naturally leads to Step 5, genuine growth. By looping through this exact cycle over and over again, their actual behaviors start to change.
To really lock in that growth, every single student gets something called the Leadership Workbook. And I love this concept because it's not some dry, boring textbook. It is a personal development journal. Over those 9 hours, they use this dedicated space for goal setting, self-reflection exercises, figuring out their core values, and mapping out real action plans. The brilliance of this is that it's a tangible tool. They take it home, and they can keep revisiting it long after the weekend is over.
But look, internal reflection is great, but it's not enough on its own. The program has this fascinating way of defining impact. They say leadership only becomes real when we improve someone else's life. It can't just be about boosting your own ego or padding a college resume. Because of that belief, the single most important educational tool in the entire intensive is the Community Leadership Project. The students actually have to take all this initiative they've learned and design a project that directly benefits their family, their school, or their neighborhood.
And these projects don't have to be massive. They don't have to change the world overnight. It could be organizing a neighborhood cleanup, starting a kindness campaign at school, putting in some hours at a local charity, or even just stepping up to help an elderly neighbor with their groceries and yard work. The scale really isn't the point. The point is the follow-through. And hey, quick, very important side note for parents here. You can absolutely be their biggest cheerleader, but you cannot take over the project. No matter how tempting it is to step in and fix things, you've got to let them lead it.
All right, moving on to another massive pillar of the intensive, public speaking. Look, we all know this is consistently one of the biggest fears out there, even for adults. In this program, students have to practice introducing themselves, sharing their ideas, and eventually presenting those community projects to the group. And I just love the philosophy they use here. The goal isn't perfection, it is unshakable confidence. It's about pushing past that awful, paralyzing fear of judgment and finally figuring out how to use their own voice.
Alongside the speaking, they are put through some pretty intense team challenges, because as we established, leadership only exists when you're interacting with other people. These activities demand serious planning, active listening, delegating tasks, solving problems under tight deadlines, and building deep trust. It's through these exact scenarios that students have a huge light bulb moment. Leadership isn't about bossing people around to get your way. It is 100% about encouraging your teammates and figuring out how to help everybody succeed together.
Now, the whole experience wraps up with a graduation presentation for the parents where the kids show off their journey and the projects they've built. But for the ones who truly excel, it doesn't have to stop there. There is a junior leadership opportunity. This is a special invitation-only mentorship for graduates, and it is not guaranteed just for showing up. They only select students based on the maturity, attitude, consistency, and readiness they showed during the program. It gives these teens a really awesome aspirational goal to shoot for.
So, at the end of the day, what is the actual return on investing all this time and energy? Well, you aren't just getting a neat piece of paper to stick on the fridge. You are going to witness real, tangible changes right at your dinner table. You're going to notice a boost in their confidence, vastly improved communication, and a lot more initiative around the house. You'll see them regulating their emotions better when things get stressful, and bouncing back with genuine resilience when they hit a roadblock. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought. What seeds are you planting for your teen's future today? Look, true transformation doesn't happen overnight. We really can't expect our teenagers to just wake up one morning magically equipped for adulthood. It happens through deliberate, meaningful experiences that challenge them, encourage them, and ultimately show them what they are truly capable of becoming. The Future Leaders Intensive is designed to be exactly that, a powerful seed for a confident, responsible future. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really hope this gave you a solid roadmap to help the teenager in your life absolutely thrive.